Welcome to Nerd Culture is Dead, Season 2, Episode 1. I'm your host and nerd, Zach, and this is our fellow co-host and fellow nerd, Andrew.
That's me.
Today we're going to be discussing our expectations for the new Dungeons & Dragons movie, Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
So, the press reviews are in, and they're mostly positive. The premieres happen. That's also a pretty positive outlook. And we're going to see what our expectations are.
With that being said, in the age of cinematic universes, do we believe that this Dungeons & Dragons movie is going to try and spawn another cinematic universe for us to watch 37 TV shows, 6 movies a year, and read a couple comic books to keep up? Or do we think that this is just going to be a nice popcorn movie?
I mean, the reviews say it's going to be popcorn, but, Hasbro's involved, and there's that 3-act formula that's been rolling about.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and hop into our general expectations for this movie. What are some things that we think we are going to see or want to see, and things that we are certain are going to be in the movie and don't want to see?
I, for one, do not want to see another clay-look CGI dragon. I'm just going to put that out there.
Well, I guarantee we're going to get at least some form of bad CGI. I've heard it's been pretty positive so far, but in the age of post-editing and making no stunt doubles, no cosmetics, no props, we're going to get CGI dragon. Rather it's good or bad, it's an entirely different story.
Okay, so this might be a little bit left fieldy, but Lord of the Rings, when they went and did Smaug, we had Cumberbatch on the ground, full going in a mocap. Am I going to get that?
I would love it, but I don't think that the artificial dragon in this movie is so much the focus in a Dungeons and Dragons movie, funny enough.
Of course.
So, as much as I would like to see something that cool, I don't think we'll see it. I think it'll be some basic set piece that, it flies around the sky, kind of Game of Thrones style, does that for about 13 seconds, then never shows up again. And then you'll have, like, in the trailer, they had the little animated statue dragon.
Right, yeah.
I think that's where we're going to see the bad CGI. And, like, you can pretty easily cover up some of the bad flying dragon earlier.
Okay. So, things I definitely want to see, right? I want to see party dynamics. I want to see something that feels pretty real. And thus far, any of those that have gone to the premiere have said that this feels like a D&D party. In fact, it feels like a lot of tropes and memes versions of a D&D party where their stuff is together about most of the time. So
they kind of, you're expecting them to kind of play into the stereotypes of the class, like maybe the barbarian's a little simple, but ultimately somehow says the wisest thing in the group. Shit like that.
I don't know if they'll go that far. I mean, there are definitely going to be some tropes of that, guaranteed.
Yeah, like Chris Pine may try and sex a lot of things in the movie because he's the bard.
And he'll probably sing poorly at least once. That's pretty much a guarantee. You're also going to have a barbarian that at some point hulks out. It's got to happen.
The druid probably doesn't know a lot about civilization and will probably do something that isn't necessarily a social norm and kind of get shunned by the party for it, or at least have them go, no, don't just eat the apple off the cart.
I'm actually not expecting that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think I would find that entertaining. What I'm actually expecting is Sword in the Stone style, old like Merlin trying to train an Arthur who gets turned in and polymorphed into a bunch of different creatures. I'm expecting the druid to essentially pull that. And just be like, I'm this, and then I'm this, and I can be this, and I'm a rat under the door, watch me go. I think that's what's going to happen.
That would be a fun approach to it. Because from the trailer, she seems to be the most interesting character, the druid.
Yeah, I'd probably say the barbarian's right behind it.
Because, like, I was reading up on some stuff. I didn't understand that she was a tiefling. Like,
yeah, me neither.
I saw the little horns, but I was thinking, like, Asmodeus tiefling, giant horns, purple pink skin, obvious tail. And I'm wondering if that is, like, something that they're trying to hide in the trailers intentionally for, like, some kind of movie development.
Or they just understand that how the culture is going to respond to things.
I suppose, but, I mean, this is 2023. We're no longer in the 80s.
But Satanic Panic is still an off and on thing. And since it's D&D, it's kind of on the nose to even mention it, so...
I don't know. I think we're in the far enough age of social media where we can go ahead and fully separate the Satanic Panic from D&D. And I fully believe that the 13% of Americans who still give a shit are going to be outcast or silenced by the people on Twitter who are like, yeah! Woo! She's got horns!
Yeah, it's going to be... Look, as someone that's seen enough Star Wars at this point, between Twi'leks constantly running around with colored skin and what essentially amounts to the same idea of, like, an appendage of some kind, whether they can use it or not, it's irrelevant, coming off of the head... it's not much of a difference there. And then I've got the other species. Sorry, everybody out there. I'm not the craziest of Star Wars fans. But they had the horns and everything, too. So at this point, it's like, okay, so it's a fantasy version. Where's the issue?
Yeah. Well, and then you also have the other half of the paradigm there of, like, all the people who are going to be like, she has horns. Rule 34.
We're going to stay miles from that. Star Wars fans got that covered.
So... something that I entirely want to see in the movie, but I don't think I'm going to see, is the whole idea of when the dungeon master tells, like, the character to do something. Like, I would low-key want a kind of Guardians of the Galaxy moment. Time slows down, comes to a standstill. Chris Pine out there, hand in his air, ready to strum the lute, and you hear the dungeon master or narrator of the movie, like, tell him to make some kind of saving throw or make some kind of check. Like, I kind of want that, like, corny aspect of the game to translate into the film somehow.
Something I think would be a cool way to do that, and I've thought about this for games themselves, is instead of the DM being, or a dungeon master, game master, whatever we want to call them these days. I prefer storyteller, but we'll go that. Instead of them booming voice, because, I mean, they already did this in an 80s cartoon, and it was like a gnomish-like character that showed up and told them things, and then they'd done the booming voice style one. And that was almost like a He-Man throw-off kind of idea.
Yeah.
Have it kind of like one of the characters gets knocked down after they've been in a fight or something like that, while it's middle of tavern brawl or whatever. And then you get knocked to the ground and like the dirt says like -2 or something like that. Something incredibly corny that they...
just so on the nose that...
Yeah. That it just tells you what really happens but doesn't tell you anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially when they've already released the character stats. Like, Wizards of the Coast went, here's actually all the characters. And I'm like going, you did what?
Well, I mean, they also made magic cards for them.
They did, and I don't know what I want to think about that yet.
I think it's any and all ways to monetize this movie are possible, so I fully expect to see an action figure line. I fully expect to see t-shirt branding. I expect to see dice sets themed after the characters. I expect the whole 9 yards. Maybe even a companion book with the movie.
Ooh.
So you can play the adventure you see in the movie.
And if they start making splat books again, I think they're going to break one of their own rules. I'm just saying. I don't think I've seen a splat book since early 4th ed. I'm not even sure they were much in 4th ed. But either way, something I think is going to happen because... what is it? The elephant in the room, if you will, from what happened back in the fall with Wizards of the Coast and kind of continued up into the beginning of the year. Well,
are you referring to the open game license drama that Wizards of the Coast enacted by their corporate greed?
And now everything is being released except one D&D because they have to rework it all. But yeah, I mean, we know at the end of the day, Hasbro was the one behind most of that. Not saying that WotC's own people were innocent in that by any stretch. But,
no, because they didn't fight to save the game. Fight to save... Or with the exception of a few. Because there were people who were leaking these documents to content creators.
But I'm just saying, when you look at a movie being produced, the movie's been in the works for a couple of years. It has to have been. You know, it probably was in post-production before the OGL leak even happened.
Well before then, yeah.
So that wasn't... I don't think it was affected by that, but I don't think it's removed from the push to openly monetize more of WotC's branding.
Oh, it certainly is an adventure for them to go ahead and do this. Mm-hmm. Like, this is their biggest gamble they've done in years. Making a new book or, you know, giving away the license for a video game, that's nothing to them. But for them to openly fund a studio production for a Hollywood movie with big names like Chris Pine.
Yeah, I mean, he's still my favorite of all the Chris's, but nonetheless.
Yeah, like, they didn't grab a small character here and trying to actually fully fund this movie. On one hand, the OGL drama makes me say, screw it, I'm not going to see it. But on the other hand, I don't think that the people who made this movie should suffer for the drama that they caused. And I think it is removed from the OGL drama. I think we can boycott the game and boycott products from them, but still support creative projects like this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to stop playing 5th Ed, but I'll just stop buying anything.
Well, there we go, yeah.
I mean, I've already started. Everything's digital at this point. And I've done what I can to get it all removed. But nonetheless, I mean, even if they do monetize it, I'm probably still going to do one of the dumbest monetized grabs I think I've seen anybody do.
Yeah.
And I'm buying that giant D20 popcorn tin. So,
well,
it has too much potential to be amazing. I could, knowing that I run a game, and you're one of my players in that game.
Yeah.
And I have characters that are just ridiculous that might show up. Yeah, just see.
Just fill it with styrofoam, so like when you do roll, it's...
Right. It rattles and shakes. You know, it's a fun little party favor to use. I mean, getting a D20 that big, and that's already a chore. I mean, it's a nice little centerpiece, I guess, too. I'll just go scrub Hasbro off of it.
Not to go, like, so far off, but I do have, like, a granite D6. It's, like, this big. Weighs, like, 15 pounds.
Yeah, don't ever throw that on the table.
Oh, no, it would break the table.
Yeah, it will.
Jason's TV. Gonk!
Yeah, he won't like that. At all.
So... is there anything else that you really want to see out of this movie?
Honestly, I want this movie to feel like it's not trying to do something.
So, like, you don't want it to be a Lord of the Rings copy. You don't want it to be a Love and Monsters kind of adventure movie. You want it to be the casual, sit around the fire aspect of Dungeons and Dragons that we know and love.
Yeah. I mean, if they want to pull up a classic story and slowly build to something, sure. But too many franchises are grabbing a hold of the IP and being like, all right, here's the first of... hyperbolic about this, but first of 20 films. We've got 3 in production, 1 in post-production. The second one will be out in 6 months. Don't worry, this is going to be a hit. And then it bombs, or it ends up on Netflix as an original. You know, there's always that. But nonetheless, I mean,
yeah,
call me a cynic, but this has got to stop somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it certainly does, and I kind of look at it like this, right? If we wanted to go ahead and talk about movie franchises that have succeeded through organic growth, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the prime example. It developed 6 individual movies, and then Phase 1 was complete. It was culminated over the course of like 3 years, and it was fantastic.
But I wouldn't say it was organic.
Oh, I would say so. The way they actually built it, they didn't force you to watch a bunch of content.
Oh, I guess in that regard, sure. But it wasn't devoid of a plan.
Yeah, they certainly had the framework in place by referencing these other movies.
But they could have dropped any of it at any time, and it would have been fine.
Yeah, in fact, they could have just started with Avengers and then done it in reverse order, and it wouldn't have succeeded that way.
I mean, not that it's the subject of this, but they did actually drop one of them and act like it never existed twice. Yeah. One of them was this really badly CGI Hulk, and the other one was, Edward Norton. So... I mean, I thought he did a good job being Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner's a questionable statement, but Edward Norton was Edward Norton, for sure.
For sure. Or we can go ahead and bring up, like, the new legendary Godzilla cinematic universe that they've done. Mm-mm. They've spread it out so far that when a new movie comes out, it feels fine to watch. They're not great movies.
No.
But the framework was successful for developing a franchise.
I'll give you that. They kind of have to ignore King Kong as ever being involved.
Not for if you want King Kong or Godzilla vs. King Kong 2, but... Or if you don't want that third movie, which was the best of them.
Or... I feel like Bart Simpson going, Rocky 3, Rocky 5, Rocky 7! Even though it's 8! But anyway, still, my point is I don't want to be seeing streams and streams of a franchise in some cases... from everything that has a nostalgia credit to somebody.
Exactly. We don't need a He-Man movie franchise now.
I mean, I think the first one was hilarious and awesome. I don't think it's good, but that's not the point. Bad movie net exists for a reason.
Exactly. But I fully believe that they could make a cinematic universe out of this and not have it be interconnected stories where Chris Pine features in every fucking movie.
Right.
But
make different characters.
After this, do a Tyranny of Dragons, 3-movie series. Or make it a TV show. Or
just not Wrath of the Gods.
Show, like, Dritz and company doing their little adventure in Icewind Dale.
Well, okay, so I think there is a little bit to be said about some of the moves that they're doing, because Joe Manganiello, oh man, I always mess up his name. In my head, it's perfect. In my mouth,
Critical Role guy, yeah.
That might be dangerous. Ooh, no. But him having the love he does for Dragonlance, and now it's going to be an officially sponsored show, is confirm unconfirm, may keep them from going and jumping into the Dragonlance franchise, which, let's be honest, Wizards of the Coast just now made nice with. And Shadow of the Dragon Queen was the first of supposedly 3 books, which is not instilling in me this idea that they're going to leave one alone.
No, there's no way.
And
they're going to have all the lines of kegs up, and they're just going to go down the line.
Because, I mean, you'll have a Dragonlance TV show that's going to be a live play style one, that's going to be Critical Role-esque. But with these people you might know that you've seen in other, franchises here and there.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they somehow took the Critical Role cast and made them all like actual actors in their own TV show outside of their animated stuff.
I don't think they're going that route, but that doesn't mean others that haven't touched that won't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not one to throw shade at Critical Role by any stretch. What they've done is fantastic. Albeit, and they know it, somewhat lucky. You talk about something that was organic, they didn't intend for what happened to happen. It just has been amazing for them.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the D&D Presents and the D&D Beyond showcases and stuff like that, that's deliberate.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So my faith that this movie is what I want it to be, which is basically, I don't want a comedy film. I don't want an action film. But I want a film that is an action comedy film.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that would be appropriate. Most D&D groups don't stay on the rails of any kind, so why should a movie ever do it?
So, at the end of the day, what you're asking for this movie to do is have consecutive dick jokes throughout, because, I mean, that's all D&D campaigns.
God, it would be so bad. I would walk out of the theater.
Especially if it was targeted towards one character constantly.
Yeah, I would walk out of the theater.
That would suck.
With my D20 fill of popcorn. At least knowing I got one good thing out of that film. But, no, I mean, I want to see a party acting like a party. I want to see them still end up in the fights. There's, that would make sense. I want encounters not to feel like somebody shoved it down their throat. I don't want to see 2 guys on a rooftop. One looks like he's trying to cry while the other one's trying to laugh, while both of them are getting attacked by something that doesn't make any sense to start with. And if anybody understood that reference, then bravo, you had the same experience I did. And I don't want to see a good actor or a great actor, if we can call anyone in this setup that I know of. I'll be honest, I don't know the entire cast, but that's probably for the best. I've been trying to be as blind as I can.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a good or great actor talk about it in 10 years. Be like, it's something I don't talk about.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm hoping it's fun. I'm hoping I'll walk out of that going, I got some dumb stories to talk about.
And if anything, some good ideas for a campaign you're currently running.
Sure.
Because, I mean, this is Swords Coast Adventure style setting. So it fits in, like, basically everything.
I mean, I'm assuming they're going to set this in pseudo Forgotten Realms like they do a lot of stuff.
Well, I know for a fact it is exactly Forgotten Realms. This isn't exactly a spoiler because it's straight up a subtitle, but part of this story is in Neverwinter.
Ah, okay. So then, yes, it will be a series.
Yes.
I can already...
They're already laying out the framework.
Yep.
Yep, you can see Waterdeep, Neverwinter, and maybe Baldur's Gate.
There'll be a heist film that comes out in 3 years.
Honestly, when they said the movie title was Honor Among Thieves, I kind of expected this to be a heist movie.
Mm-hmm.
If not for, like, a third of it.
It might be.
Because, like, low-key, let's predict the movie here. Heist movie, first third. They get some MacGuffin item that, like, we very clearly know there's some evil sorceress, right? They end up giving her the MacGuffin item. Oh, no, that was bad. we gotta go make up for it. And then the second third of the movie is them trying to make up for it. And then the last third is them actually doing something that matters.
That doesn't sound like D&D.
No, it sounds like a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it does.
Which was our entire problem to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all right, so I would like them to stop beating the great evil sorcerer as the big bad evil person. I mean...
What if it was an undead evil wizard?
Oh.
Then we can call it a lich.
Is that what, Valindra?
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean Valindra? So that way there's a necro dragon about to come out later in the next film. And let's see, Neverwinter's going to get sacked, and Lord Neverwinter's going to be like, oh, you need to save my kid. No. This needs to not happen. It's already happening in an MMO.
Alright, so you don't want evil sorceress as villain. Who would you want as villain? You've got all the Sword Coast stuff to pull from here.
Honestly, a creature.
Just have like, God, what's the star of the... or Inferno of the Star Mounts, that big red dragon.
I mean, it could be a dragon itself. I mean,
it's Dungeons and Dragons.
No, I think a dragon should be in there as a humor point. It should not be humorous because we've already attempted that. But it should be there as a point of, we're not ready for that. We're not ready for that. We're not, oh my God.
Go,
right?
Go. Yeah.
And if it's a heist film, the dungeon is the heist. And okay, great. So now we've hit our notes. Now let's get into an actual game. And if it is going to be a series, and it's not going to act like it's a series, then this film should feel like it can end. If it has manipulation from something that supposedly got a plan, that means the plan's not over unless either A, the person dies at the end, or B, they see the error of their ways. And I expect neither to be a good ending.
So hear me out. You know what would be perfect?
Mm-hmm.
You know how we just talked about how we want to avoid the satanic panic problems?
No, you mean making it one?
Yeah. What if the entire part or like plot of the movie was stopping like the like nine hells from like merging with the material plane, like the fucking Avernus Rising shit?
I mean, it gives a lot of weight to a tiefling character we don't know a lot about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like see Zariel, the fallen angel, just like killing a bunch of people as like some big set piece.
It kind of kills the point of being fun and humorous, though.
Well, no, that's supposed to be the dark point, and then immediately after it shows something so lighthearted and stupid that like it can't be helped but seems like ridiculous in comparison.
Now, I enjoyed Thor: Love and Thunder as well, but we need to not repeat its follies and make, you know, a A-list actor do a pretty solid role and only show up on film for 18 minutes. Doing almost none of what he actually is known for.
You know what's another movie you just mentioned about doing that?
You know what?
Godzilla.
Yeah, see what I mean? But if Godzilla only shows up for 18 minutes, that makes more sense.
Oh.
Unless it's in a football stadium. Then it doesn't. And if you haven't had enough culture references, well, then you'll understand the title.
All right.
So nonetheless, one way or the other, kind of getting to a nip on the butt here, I expect the film to disappoint me, which is why I'm going to go into it
with an open mind.
With an open mind and a little bit of, you know, I'm not going to give you any room whatsoever to build me up to something. You're either going to do it or you're not.
See, I'm going to go ahead and go into this movie with a, I want this movie to be great expectation. I don't expect it to be moving me emotionally, but I expect to be thoroughly entertained. If it doesn't do that for me, I'm out.
See, and that means when we do the reaction for this and they get to see it,
I'm going to be
I'll be the one that's happy and you'll be the one disappointed.
I'll be sitting there going, man, this movie wasn't any good.
And I'll be talking about how awesome it was.
I cried for 3 minutes.
Yeah, see, this is how I find the good in a film, is I sit there and go into it with a neutral expectation, a slightly, this is not going to go that great. And then I can walk out of it going, or, all right, let's go.
You know I only play full tilt.
Oh, okay, so you got to pick a side and stay there.
Exactly, that's how this works. I picked a side of the fence. I will happily sit here until I'm either proven completely wrong or the fence breaks.
I hope it's not electric. But otherwise, you'll be fine.
I'm sure I will be. So I'm going to go ahead and preemptively say this movie is an 8 out of 10.
Ooh, dicey. I'm going to say 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10?
You know, just slightly good.
Well, if a 6 is disappointing, right?
And it is for the box office.
For the box office, but I'm thinking personal scale here. Because, like, I figure, all right, let's go ahead and create our scale here.
Oof. Okay, we're going to start that now.
5 is true neutral.
Sure. Okay.
It was a movie.
Yep.
A 1 or 0. I'm not sure how many. Well, we'll go with 0.
0. No stars is a thing.
Bottom of the barrel trash.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a bad movie.
Right, exactly.
Or not even a good bad movie.
Good bad movies usually are 5 or 6 anyway.
Yeah, and 10 is like Lord of the Rings 2 Towers and like Good Will Hunting quality movie.
So
like
0 is another D&D movie, Wrath of the Dragon God. Got it.
Yeah.
You know, the third in that trilogy that never existed. Might be the second. If you correct me in the comments, I understand.
But regardless, I'm hoping that this movie will be good. I'm hoping that it will do justice and give us the opportunity, even if they don't do a cinematic universe out of this, if they have the opportunity to use the IP well and actually, you know, give us more stories outside of source books, I'd be happy for it. I would love to see them take Storm King's Thunder and turn that into a Hulu miniseries or a Paramount Plus feature.
So you want the giant corporation taking the IPO?
I want the giant corporation to divide and conquer here by giving licenses to independent studios to make films or stuff out of. So, like, if HBO Max walks up to Hasbro and says, hey, you know, I've got House of the Dragon done, and in between it and its next season, I would love to push out Tyranny of Dragons so I can keep those keep getting dragon money. I think HBO should be totally able to do that and make a high-stakes drama D&D story about dragons and needing to stop a god from being summoned.
So I'm going to say something mildly controversial.
Go ahead.
If they can make a dragon at least as good as Drogon, then I won't be disappointed.
That's all right. If you watch House of the Dragon, the dragons are way better than Drogon.
Good. That means that the technology is there and there's no excuses.
Exactly. They know how to make dragons now.
Ooh, maybe they learned that from Spielberg and doing physical effects with Jurassic Park.
Maybe.
Let's skin something and make it look better. Wait, we didn't do that.
Or they probably just stole all the Banshee technology from Avatar.
Ooh, Cameron ain't gonna be happy about that. Or he gave it to him. Who knows? But I don't know. I wouldn't be disappointed if that happened, but I will be disappointed if it turns into I got to watch a million things to make one thing make sense.
Well,
I already do that with Marvel, and one's enough.
I refuse to hop on the Marvel train for that reason. Like, once Phase 4 started, the only thing I watched was Spider-Man. That was the only movie. None of the Netflix shows.
I'm trying to keep up, like Spider-Man was trying to hold back the LRL. I'm struggling.
You're sitting here being torn apart by
I'll
3 shows at once.
And if I can,
a movie you gotta go see.
I went and saw Quantumania. Don't. Watch it on stream. And I don't care if that hurts their box office. It deserves it. The actors don't. The production doesn't. And absolutely nobody that made that film, except maybe the executive producers, just because they're going to be in the corporate pocket, one or the other. But it's not a bad film. It's just not a great movie. It's a good thing to watch.
Well, there we go.
And this film, I want to be slightly better than that, please.
Well, I think at this point, we've went ahead and set our grievances, our expectations. Do you have any last thoughts concerning this movie before we end up seeing it?
If somebody doesn't play a dice game, I'm going to be upset.
Are you going to insist that they have all 7 variations of dice?
No.
Or do you just want them rolling d6?
I want them rolling dice, and I want it not to matter.
You know what? Just for the sake of sitting on the other side of the fence here, I want them playing dominoes.
Oh. You must be one of those people that likes having your cards of your spells and everything then, too.
Yeah, I am.
Damn.
Every time I play a spellcaster, I have a book written out with all my spells and everything.
That's how you're supposed to do it. A wizard book is the right book.
Exactly.
That's not the same.
And if you forget it's a session, well, you forgot in-game too.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Versus, I got a deck of cards, and my magic missile, it does this. No.
No, and you also have to say magic missile when casting it. That's a actual component of the spell, saying magic missile.
I'll accept pew, 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 and I'm fine with that too.
That works. Well, it has been a pleasure having you with us. Once again, we are Nerd Culture is Dead. We will be bringing you a video as soon as we watch the movie as a very quick, whoa, we just watched it, it was awesome or it wasn't, and then we'll be doing a final review and analysis of the film in the coming weeks. I hope you guys look forward to watching it as we look forward to making it, and thank you so much for listening in or watching, however you have been viewing this podcast. Once again, I am Zach. This is Andrew from Nerd Culture's Dead. Have a good night, and make your wisdom safe.
Catchphrase. I don't have one. And we're out.